I well, you are recording this, okay.
Yeah.
I yeah, I haven't been very active with the lending recently, but I should because interest rates are much higher. Um, and yeah, still doing some investing, but not as active as I should be um in the real estate, but other investments are going on. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Uh,
And Mike is still in Tennessee. Is that where you are these days? Or
I'm actually in California now.
Hey,
okay.
Mike,
I'll
you
be
need to turn
here.
it up again.
Oh,
Either that or sit closer. I don't
there.
know. It
How's
went
that?
down
How's that? Can you
a
hear
Sounds
little
me?
better.
it sounds a little bit tinny, but it sounds okay.
Uh,
Yeah, he's in a big conference room. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but
how
last
about
time we
now?
solved it. You just
How
have
about
to
now?
turn it up a
Is
little
that better?
more.
Yeah, it's good.
How about now?
I don't know. What'd you do last time?
I just turned the volume up, which I just did again.
Mm,
Huh, okay. Well, it's better than it was.
Okay.
well, that's better.
Yeah,
It
it's a lot better.
it's not
Yeah, that's different now.
That's
okay.
good.
Yeah, that's a lot different. 'Cause for a moment, I thought you were on a sailboat in that river behind you. Or river.
Yeah, that's a view from my upper deck at the house I have in Tennessee.
Okay.
Terrible
So
view. It's awful.
yeah, I'm
Hate to have that
obviously
view.
yeah. Obviously I'm not there. I'm here in California. I'll be here till the 1st of December, and then go
Okay.
back for the holidays,
Um,
and then hang out there for about 4 months, and then come back here again.
your volume completely changed.
Yeah, I did.
How about now?
Not
That
much.
better?
Really.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay, so my microphone is on my left side of my computer. That's what it is then.
Okay.
Okay.
Weird.
Just put your mouth down there like this when you want to talk.
How's that? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. A talking head, top of the head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, microphone.
Put your glasses on the top of your head like this when you go down. Hi there, how you doing?
Yeah.
So how often do you hold these knowledge tower events? Is this a
Oh yeah. We've been doing it just on different topics that I do think are interesting to investors. About every 2 weeks, we've got another one in 3 weeks. So right at the beginning of October and then third week of October. So we're doing them on Fridays. We're doing two on I think it's the 3rd of October and then the 17th of October are the next ones.
21st, I think.
Yeah.
oh, and I noticed you're recording this. So do the recordings get shared or
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. So if I miss one live, I can listen
Well,
to.
actually, what we were going to do is just send the notes out to you, the all the PowerPoints.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have the slides. We're recording it because we're futzing around with YouTube. And so we just wanted to take parts of it and then post it on YouTube.
Huh?
Hey Sherry, welcome back.
Hey there.
You still enjoying Hawaii or you just feel like there's too much warm weather for you?
No, I'm still enjoying it. Hard not to. The temperature's perfect every day, all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're killing me. It's just coming back to like normal here. It's in the 80s.
So what island are you on?
I'm on Oahu,
Okay.
up in the Makaha Valleys area.
Yep.
Way
Hmm.
up.
Was that like home away from home, or is that just like a timeshare?
No, it's my home away from home. So I'm here for a month this time. I try to get here. I mean, my goal is a month every quarter. So yeah.
That
Well,
sounds like
Sherry, you're living my dream.
And so do you rent it out when you're not there?
To friends and family, because I
Okay.
do have like some of my stuff here, and so like my kids were just here this summer, and
Oh, good.
yeah, I have a
That's
the
cool.
couple of people that I know here that kind of help me take care of it when I'm gone. So I give them like her sister came and I gave her really reduced cheap rent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly just people I know.
Sure.
They come water your plants for you and
Well, all I got is plastic because of that. Yeah, I don't have anything to do at home. I live in Roseville, and at home I've got all kinds of stuff to do, and my son lives with me and his girlfriend. So here I don't my dogs, no kids, no, I got 740 square feet to take care of, and that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yep.
That's perfect.
sounds depressing. Sounds so awful. It's terrible.
Yeah, Sherry, seriously, that's my dream. I would love to like
Yeah.
not be in California 2-3 months a year.
Yep.
Oh, I'm doing it.
I know Mike's already doing it.
Nice. Where else do you go, Mike?
Oh, I live in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So, and I live in California.
Yeah,
So
okay.
he's
So-
double located.
Yeah, so I have a small place in California because I don't want a big footprint in California anymore.
Yeah.
And then I have my real nice place in Tennessee. In fact, if you look at my photo there, the water in the background, that's the view from my upper deck at my
Oh,
house.
nice.
So
What's the
Very
view from,
cool.
what's the view from the lower deck?
a little bit, well, some of the trees have grown a little bit, but it's pretty much the same. You're just down
You just see
story
less
level.
trees.
Yeah.
I was in Nashville last year for the first time. I hadn't been there before. Are you anywhere near Nashville or?
I am 50 minutes from the airport.
Okay.
East of Nashville.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty easy. I'm central Tennessee.
Cool.
So did you go to the old Opry, Grand Ole Opry?
I did go to the Grand Ole Opry.
Isn't that it's awesome? I mean, it's pretty
Mhm.
neat.
Yeah, no, I stayed there for a few days and I had a meeting in the university about 20 miles south of Tennessee.
Yeah.
What's it called?
So did you stay at the Opry Hotel?
No, I didn't do that. But I
Oh,
walked around the grounds. Yeah, that's pretty impressive there.
it is.
Yeah,
You should see it at Christmas time.
oh yeah.
Oh, it's spectacular.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a Airbnb and spent time on Broadway.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Sure.
Joel, probably should get this thing rolling.
All right, well, let's roll her up. The Knowledge Tower. So our objective for Mike and I got together about 7-8 years ago with the intention to help investors buy stuff outside of California. We both went through the rise in 04-05 and the subsequent decline as well. But when the market in California got really expensive, it didn't make sense. So we started helping investors buy stuff in other places. We've both spent our careers working with investors, and we love this arena. So we help out as much as we can and try and share as much as we can. So, point other people our direction, join our e-newsletter if it's at gobywright.com, and just keep coming back for more. We love sharing this stuff, and we think it's important to help people make decisions. So our orientation is we work with small investors, residential properties, and we're helping them find properties in other markets. So we help find the markets and the agents actually help them find the properties for long-term holds, not for flips or anything else. Really with the intention of helping them build portfolios so they can retire, at least in part, with real estate wealth. Now, the Knowledge Tower, this is an accumulation of areas that help people. If you have an understanding of each of these different areas, then you can make informed decisions with relating to real estate. And I put it in a tower, just kind of one on top of the other. So the bottom level, and I'll show you a graphic next slide, but the bottom level is how real estate works. Next is the investor's situation. then the real estate environment in the marketplace, then what opportunities are available to purchase, and lastly, best practices. So this is more or less what it looks like. You need to understand how real estate works, all about yourself, what's going on in the marketplace, what other opportunities may become available for you, and then implement best practices when you're working so that you can get higher returns and higher rewards. Generally, it's kind of bookended with conceptual. That is how real estate works. It helps to have an understanding of how that works and also the best practices so you can make decisions that will actually work and will work better. But the practical aspects of it are your own situation, the market situation, and the opportunities. So it's kind of a mental and practical framework. How real estate works. I asked ChatGPT and I thought it gave me a great assessment, so I put it on here. It's basically 5 different levels: the foundation, the engine, the rules of the game, and the business operations, lastly, strategy. So the first 2 are the foundation, which is the ecosystem and who the players are in the different arenas, the asset classes. Next is the engine. It's the market and the finance. So the market cycles, the financial engines of real estate, etc. The legal and regulatory framework is the rules of the game, as well as how the transactions and the work and the deal flow. And the business operations part of it is the asset management, the property operations, and the business structures. And lastly is the risks and the cycles, the strategic positioning. All that fits in with the strategy that the investors can use long term. So going into the self-evaluation, it really has 2 parts. The investor, first you evaluate yourself and you evaluate your portfolio. So you can have a really good portfolio, but if your life is falling apart, your portfolio may not make it. And you can have a very limited portfolio, but be very qualified and very efficient yourself and still be able to purchase and create a great portfolio for yourself over time. So both of them are essential. Talking about self-evaluation, family situation, where your age in life is, the financial situation. That was a lot of what we talked about at 12 o'clock in the first seminar, was really the investor arc. So where they start at the beginning, start with nothing, buy the first property, build and grow, restructure, eventually retire, and then distribute the properties. That's kind of the personal situation and the age in life, where the investor is, and that'll affect how they implement their strategies and what strategies they choose. So I did 2 slides. One's a buyer situation. All these things affect buyers and their decision-making. Household, job relocation, retirement plans, personal milestones, financial growth, family size, age of their kids, whether they're going to college, etc. Then the seller situations, job relocations, health needs, lifestyle, opportunity for profit. Sometimes they want to cash out. Relationships, divorces, breakups, empty nesting, the kids, they want to downsize, etc. So these things affect buyers and sellers, which helps to make up the market. Next is self-evaluation. Is what the objectives and the motives, the things that are important to the individuals themselves. Also their job, their income stability, and their ability to get loans, their assets that they have, and their psychology. So some of the assets, I've been working for years to create a list of assets. Some of them are somebody's ability to get a loan, the amount of cash that they have, or other assets they can leverage. It's their knowledge and their skills, the amount of time, energy, stress, and hassle they can accommodate. And it's the other people around them that can help facilitate things to get done as well. Now, psychology, that's something that most people don't take into account, but there's a very big difference between somebody who's hands-on and somebody who's hands-off. Taking that specifically, I have an uncle that It was very hands-on. He's a real estate investor. He did all the management himself. He did all the repairs, all the maintenance. He did all of it himself. When he sold out of the properties that he had here in California back in 2003 and 2004, he moved everything up to Idaho, and then he bought a plane. So he continued to live here in the Sacramento area and bought a plane that he housed at the Lincoln Airport and flew every week for 3 or 4 days up to his properties in Idaho to take care of them, to manage them, do the repairs and the maintenance, etc. He's very hands-on. I, on the other hand, am very hands-off. So I had a property that was 10 minutes from my house, and I saw it, I think 3 times between the time that I bought it and the time that I sold it. I saw it when I bought it. I saw it one time because the tenant asked me to come over to look at something, and I saw it when I sold it. And so even though I had it for about 2.5 years, I only saw it 3 times. I'm an example of a very hands-off investor. So that will affect the kinds of investments that you choose and where you choose them as well. I have no problem investing wherever across the nation, but people who are hands-on investors, they feel like they have to touch it. It's very difficult for them to invest anywhere but places that are close to them. Another thing is a do-it-yourself investor. I'm very much a do-it-yourselfer. Almost everything that I do like that in real estate, I want to know it. I want to understand it. But then I can let people do the rest. Some people can't let other people take over. They can't let people manage. They feel like they have to do it themselves. They feel like they have to manage themselves, be on site, checking, see if there's garbage on the lawn, etc. So that's just a couple of the different psychological aspects that people take into account when they're investing, and they don't even realize it. They never think about it, and nobody ever really talks about the different psychological aspects that investors go through.
Many investors that are investing out of California never see the property. I have a property in Mississippi that I purchased in 2008. To this day, I've never seen it and never drove by it. Doesn't mean that I haven't seen it through videos or FaceTime or photos from the management company, but management company takes care of it. I don't worry about it. Check comes in every single month, and I only hear from the management company if there's an issue or something that needs to be dealt with, which is very rare. Maybe
And I
I
have
have to
properties
call
in
the
Oklahoma.
management company to make sure they're still around.
Yeah, I have properties in Oklahoma. I have not seen. I purchased one a couple of months ago that I haven't
Mhm.
seen it.
Mhm.
But I trust all the people involved.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
And
doing that.
I went to the city before I ever bought there. So I'm very hands-on, but once I feel like I have an understanding of it, then I feel comfortable letting it go.
Mhm.
And so different people have different levels of that. That is important to recognize. Portfolio evaluation. In addition to the personal situation, it's being able to look at the assets that you have in your portfolio, which is the different properties. That's something Mike and I have spent a lot of time on. I think we've done more work than just about anybody has done ever to help investors understand what their portfolio is and how they can change their portfolio. So the first thing, this is something that we created, is a concept we call the 4 pillars, which is a way that we can look at investments quickly and look at portfolios as a whole. It allowed us to evaluate not only a property singly to see how it was going to perform, but also to be able to combine all of the properties together in a portfolio to see how the portfolio was performing as a whole. And it's a very unique graph that we've created, and we think it's very valuable. So value and debt and cash flow and the cash needed, and that's for a purchase. When you're purchasing a property, it's cash needed. Now, the difference between value and debt is your equity position. The amount of top over and above your expenses and rental payments is your cash flow, and the amount of cash that you have on the right side, that's your cash that's available to advance your portfolio and to grow. But it's important to understand what your situation is. I've seen a lot of times where investors will be very, very value rich. That is, they'll have a lot of equity, almost no debt, huge amount of value, millions of dollars in value in properties, and then have almost no cash reserves at all. And that can be very dangerous. They're very concerned about paying down the debt, and so they utilized all their cash as it came in their cash flow to pay down the debt. But what they didn't have was a cash reserve that was substantial in case that anything happened and they needed to solve a problem that came up immediately. So 4 pillars is a great way to evaluate a portfolio. Looking at the 4 pillars allows you to tell how much equity is there, how much cash flow you have, how much you have in reserves, and then looking at each property to determine, how are the tenants doing? Do you need to move one of the tenants? What's going on with repairs and rehab? Is there a lot of work that needs to be done, or is it all in good shape, etc. So being able to evaluate and classify and quantify the investment properties individually and as a whole. Next, the real estate landscape. So within the environment, there's the landscape overall, and then there's the 3 markets, which we'll cover in a second. Landscape is jobs, the macroeconomy, weather, political climate. ChatGPT had this to say about it. It's the interest rates, government incentives, tax policy, neighborhood school districts, neighborhood shifts, global events, economic factors, etc. Lots of stuff. It's everything else around that affects people's decisions to buy and sell, affecting supply and demand. So with regard to the market situation, we look at it as 3 different markets. There's the real estate market, the lending market, and the rental market. The real estate market is the market cycles. Is the market that you're in, is it in a very cyclical market? That is, it goes up and down a lot, often, or is it a very stable market? That it's very much straight arrow, goes up 2%, 3% a year, and is very solid, or does it go up 9, 10, 15, 20% in some years and down 5, 7, 9% in other years? Also, what are the sales trends? How many properties sell in that market regularly and what sells? What are the sales prices? What's the low range for the market and the high range for the market? These are all things that you should know if you're investing in a market. And yeah, so whatever market you're going to be investing in, you should know these kinds of things. How many days on the market there is, how much inventory of the particular product that you're looking for is. Now, here is from Fred, the median US sold price. So you can see that except for like 2008 went up dramatically. 1990 it went down as well, but overall, for the most part, most years it's gone up substantially. The lending market, that's what are new loans coming in, and when you're trying to evaluate the lending market, look at a couple of different lenders. On my way from work today, as I was driving, I got a call from a client yesterday asking about loans. He was thinking of doing a refi, recommended just doing a cash out refinance. I'm sorry, equity line of credit on his personal residence rather than a cash out refinance. And so I'd referred him to one bank because his bank wouldn't do it. So he thought, oh, well, it can't be done. I referred him to my bank, and that was the call that I got on my way back from work, saying that, yeah, this should be a really simple loan. He lives in the property. He occupies the property, plans to for a long period of time. He has a lot of equity in the property, and for what he's looking to pull out, it shouldn't be any problem for him. But what's the interest rate? That's what most people look at, and that's what everyone's concerned about right now, or so it seems. But also the terms are important. How many years is the loan? 10-year, 20-year, 30-year? Is it 5 years? And then you have to recast and redo the loan. What percent down do you have to have? What type of loan is it? Residential or commercial? I've had where even though I was purchasing a residential property, that the banks wanted us to get Mike and I to get commercial loans just because of the type of property or the situation that we were in, et cetera. So sometimes commercial loans will work for the residential properties. It depends what you're trying to do. I also had that if I'm trying to get a small loan on a property. Usually the residential lenders don't like to loan under about $70,000. So if it's less than that, it's going to be a private loan from a bank, a local bank, and most frequently, and it may be in the commercial realm. So taking a look at all those things and seeing how it works out for you is really important. Here's the historic interest rates. You can see it went up to about 18% back in about 82. And then they were really low in the 2020, super low. 2021, super low. So they've fluctuated and varied over time between that range. But right now, the average, I believe, is about 7.8. I think that's the average over the last, since 1972 when they started tracking this. The rental market is the third market that you should track and know what's going on in the areas where you're looking to invest and in the areas where you are investing. When you're looking at other markets, look at eviction time and costs. What is the rent rates relative to the purchase price? What are the rental trends? Is there a lot of vacancy? Or is everything rented up? How long does it take usually to rent up? What are the restrictions and laws? Is there rent control? These are all important things to know about a market before you get in. So here's the rental rate index. I believe 82 is the time when this is marked at 100. You can see we're at about 400 now. Yeah, the left side index is 82, 84 is 100. So we're about 4 times higher than where it was back in 82. What, 40 years ago? Yep, 40 years ago. Opportunities available. Opportunities, it's the price, income, expenses, lending. What is there out there that if you were to change a property or if you were to buy a property, what were the opportunities available for you? Because it can be a very good time for you to sell, but it may not be a very good time to purchase. So taking that into account is super important. If you just can't find the deal that fits for you, then it can be very frustrating. Can you afford to invest where you are, or should you go where it makes sense? That's one of the reasons that Mike and I began referring clients to invest outside of California, was because it just didn't make sense. You'd end up putting 40 to 50% down on a property, and before you'd get any cash flow, and then your return on investment was very, very nominal, and still approaching that right now in the Sacramento market. That's why we still recommend investing out of state. Here's the gross rent multipliers with Gobi Wright, that Mike's and Mike's company, or LLC. We track 800 different markets throughout the United States, and this is what their gross rent multipliers look like. Gross rent multiplier is the purchase price divided by the annual rents. So there's no expenses taken out of it. It's just a good thermometer. You can see something that is a 10 gross rent multiplier is very different from something that's a 20 gross rent multiplier. So lastly, best practices: keep cash in reserves, negotiate with sellers, find distressed properties and distressed sellers. 15-year loans, there's higher return if you can get them. Depending on the interest rate, it doesn't always make sense to get a 15-year loan, but getting a loan absolutely makes sense because your returns overall in the long term are better. It doesn't make sense for everybody because some people are very risk averse or just want the cash flow and have an excess of cash. But for those that are trying to grow and build, loans are very important. Not only does it allow you to buy more property, but the loans pay down over time. So over decades, you build wealth consistently each year. A quality team is very important. Having the right real estate agent, lender, banker, accountant, etc. Those things are all super important to be able to do what you need to do in the industry. Track your cash flow and your investments. Having the right mindset. And a lot of this and what we do is also oriented around helping people understand what the best practices are so they can be in the mindset where they can succeed from a point of knowledge, not just, hey, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. That they can make the decisions that end up being in their best interest. So we have a new newsletter. If you go to goberight.com, you can sign up for it. And we help investors buy where it makes sense. So if you know of anybody who is frustrated with what they can buy currently in California, then let us know. We'd be happy to take them somewhere else. Are there any questions?
Julian, you're muted.
Mike, I have a question for you. On the
Yeah.
last meeting, you mentioned you were liquidating your apartment or
5-unit.
family. Yeah. How are you doing that tax advantaged? Are you doing 1031 exchange?
Yeah, you do 1031 exchanges. So my partners, we also own a duplex together. And we have that one free and clear. So what I'm going to do is take my proceeds, 1031 exchange into the other half that I don't own and take that unit over. So
Gotcha.
I'll own that one free and clear outright. And then I'll take the rest of the funds and either just pay boot on it and or buy a smaller property.
Gotcha.
But 1031 exchange, I just love them to death. I've done tons of them personally, and I've done many for clients. Joel and I have done lots of 1031 exchanges.
Yeah, 1031s are great.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tool. Except for when you leave California, they follow you.
Ah.
But you could do a strategy too, where eventually you can move into one of your rentals and avoid this the California tax. Because if you exchange out of California, California still wants their money, so you still
Yeah.
have to file. So
Oh,
what I did is I end up purchasing or actually moving into one of my rentals and converting it to owner occupied, and the conversion from rental to owner occupied takes 5 years.
right. But then you still had to pay your depreciation back, right?
No, it gets converted to owner occupied status. Now there is a small tax if I ever get ready to sell it, but it's not anywhere near the same thing. So I just leave that up to my tax guy.
Yeah.
So which states look most or which markets, the cities or states look most attractive at the moment? And
Julian, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked because we're analyzing again for the last 4 years or so. We haven't been looking for markets just because we were trying to figure out what was going to happen with the downturn. Because when the interest rates went up, the prices went up so high with 2020, COVID, and everybody buying 2021 as well. And then in 2022, it all leveled off because of interest rates went up. And so we were unsure if it was going to drop off and have a market collapse, which would be a more normal thing given the amount that it went up and it became very unaffordable. And then interest rates made it more unaffordable. But we haven't really seen that to happen. And so we were waiting to see if what was going to shake out for a couple of years. So now we're looking for markets. I can tell you what I like. We're investigating Florida, but still unsure. There are some places where the prices are dropping in Florida. We're investigating North Carolina. Going to look at Georgia as well. There's some places in Georgia that we're interested in that might prove beneficial. The ones that we're not that interested in, but we're looking at to see if maybe there's a diamond in the rough is in Mississippi, Florida. See Mike shaking his head.
Oh, Mississippi. Yeah,
Um,
next year I'll probably bail out of Mississippi because nothing's happening there. I've owned it since '08. I paid 100 and what I paid 135,000 for it. It's probably worth 200. You know, the debt's
but if he'd
almost,
invested in that 135 into Tennessee, what would it be worth now?
oh,
You
probably
know,
400 or more.
yeah. So he's got, yeah, and that's kind of part of the investment strategy. He's gotten great cash flow, but he hasn't gotten a lot of appreciation. And so some
Well,
markets are good for some.
Yeah, but you have to understand, when you invest for a purpose and a reason. And the reason why I bought in Mississippi is because I had Hurricane Katrina, the GO zone treatment, which is a tax advantage that only had a little window of time. And so if you purchase brand new construction during that time, you got an immediate 50% accelerated depreciation.
Oh,
That was incredible. So you made money on the taxes because then you don't have to pay hardly any taxes the following year. You got huge refunds. So that's
Yeah,
why.
it was a brilliant choice for Mike because he ended up almost paying nothing for the property.
Correct. I got my down payment back in tax refunds the following year or
Yeah.
paying less taxes.
yeah. Well, and how much do interest rates need to move in order to spark some more activity? I mean,
Well, my prediction is
Mm.
the first digit needs to be a 5.
Yeah, right now I think we're 6.25.
Yeah. Now you can get down into the 5s with FHA and you can buy them down a little bit. But if you're getting a loan at par, if it's down into the 5s, now even if it drops to the lower 5s, now you can start looking at 15-year loans because you can make, the rental income should support maybe a 30% down payment on a property with a 15-year loan. And you can kind of make those numbers work a little bit better. So if you don't want the cash flow, and for the ones that are investing and they're younger, they should not be living off of the portfolio. It should be self-sustaining. So how do you build wealth? Many times, or one of the best ways to build wealth is debt reduction. So if you have a 15-year loan and the tenant's willing, the income coming in supports that individual property, or the portfolio is supported by the income, the gross income, then you could have your 15-year loans on it. And if you run a 15-year amortization chart, you're shocked at what happens even in 5 years, how much debt is paid down. And then 7 years, it's even that much better because that's halfway through. 7.5, even 8 years, you're halfway through that loan. And by the time you get ready to retire, it should be close to being paid off, if not paid off. So it just makes a great strategy to have the right type of debt.
Yeah.
what's the Fed going to do next week? 25, 50? What's your
Yeah.
What's that?
For somebody that's older, they're going to look at it differently. They're going to be looking for cash flow to support their lifestyle and retire. But
Yeah. At some point, when you get old enough, then you're just if you're buying and you're growing your portfolio, you're growing it for cash flow, not for
right. So
for
here's a
growth.
question: if somebody's 50 or 55, they're still in their earning years. Do you think 15 years into the future, if you're 50, is a long time? It's not. If you're 50, you'll be 65 in 15 years. So doing a 15-year loan really makes incredible sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay. We're also real active in an Oklahoma area, and we like parts of Alabama, and we like parts of
Yeah,
Tennessee.
sorry, forgot those.
Yeah. And
I like parts of Missouri, and Nebraska keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Illinois. Um,
yeah, I don't
you
care.
don't like Illinois?
No, taxes are
Oh,
high.
I'm sorry.
Indiana.
Indiana. I
There you
misspoke.
go. Not in
I
Illinois.
misspoke.
And
Yeah, actually, one of the
That's one of the
yeah,
no-nos is no Illinois.
I want to look around Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So that Indianapolis hit my list years ago, but I want to look around Indianapolis now.
and I know you mentioned Florida, but isn't it, I guess some parts there, the cost of insurance just so unbearable that it
Yeah, for exactly those reasons. That's why it's on the hesitant list. That is doing research, but getting as much information as I want to get to see if there's a diamond in the rough there. Mike and I this time we're sorting areas for more. Okay, this is an area more of cash flow. This is an area more of opportunity, and I think that Florida could be an area of opportunity, but I think it's got to go down more. And I think there are some areas that are going down right now. I know Cape Coral's going down, and some of the other cities are going down. I think there was an 11%. It was like highest in the nation, I'm pretty sure, for decline. And I've been watching Cape Coral since like 2006. Just because I'm very fascinated that it takes the biggest swings. It goes up a lot and then collapses a lot, more than most other places, more than just about anywhere. And so I find that fascinating. And near as I can tell, it's probably due to the demographics of people coming out of the north from the colder weather down to the south to the warmer weather, but then how Cape Coral is oriented within Florida, it seems to not retain its value for some reason. And it could be that, and this is something I heard recently, and I hadn't thought about it or included it, that Cape Coral doesn't have beach. So that you can't live on the beach in Cape Coral. So I think it's either reserve or it's cliffs or rocks or something there. I don't know what it is, but there's a demarcation line, so to speak, between the water and the houses. So
presumably there's coral there, you'd think, right?
yeah,
No.
I don't know what it is. I haven't been there to see it, so I don't know yet. But it keeps popping up on my list as one of those areas that just declines a lot. And so I want to investigate it and some other areas. And, while I'm doing that, looking at some other areas in Florida to see if there is, if there are areas of opportunity over the next few years. I was fully expecting the market to decline substantially after 2022, but I looked at the numbers recently, and I think of the 800 cities that we track them monthly for price changes through Realtor.com, and of the 800 cities since July of 2022, over those 3 years, we have seen an increase in 71% of the 800 cities.
Yep.
An
And that's what I
increase in price.
predicted. You and I were having a debate about that. I said, it's not going to go down anytime soon. Everybody keeps saying, because I deal with
Well,
foreclosure.
I was really hoping that it was going to, that there were segments of the market. I didn't think that all of it was going to go down, but I thought there'd be maybe a third or a fourth of the market that'd go down. And by the way, that 25% that did go down went down a nominal amount.
Well, there's such a such a shortage of housing. I think that's
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the major things I think that buoys up the economy,
Well,
the
what we're
housing
seeing-
economy.
What we're seeing across the nation now is listing inventory increasing, and they're not selling. They're
Right.
sitting. So there is some negotiating opportunities. So, if a house goes on the market for 300,000 and it's out there for 3 weeks unsold, now you can come in and ask the seller to pay points, maybe get some extra fees, maybe a small price reduction. Now, they're not going to discount it big time, but at least you can get a lot of your fees and a lot of things paid for. And sellers that really need to sell, you can get some of those benefits. And we're seeing that more and more, even in Sacramento, we're starting to see that more and more. I just had that conversation just not 45 minutes ago, just before we got into this. And that's what's happening. So, and the interest rates, you know, they're 6.25. Well, the sellers, in some cases, they'll buy it down to 5.75 or whatever. They'll pay for some of that stuff. So,
Okay. And one last question, you haven't started looking at Greenland, right?
No.
Greenland?
No,
Oh,
no
yeah,
plans. Not for me anyway.
Okay.
Maybe Mike.
You mean Greenland and Iceland?
Yeah.
Iceland, I just saw an article on that. It's pretty sparse with people, but what a beautiful country. I just saw a big article showing all kinds of things. Oh my goodness.
You know, I have some friends that were vacationing there, and it looks beautiful. But
Oh my word, yeah. I think I would like to go there. That would be one of my bucket list things, is go to Iceland. And it's interesting because Iceland doesn't have a lot of snow, but Greenland has a lot of snow. So it's opposite.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
Oh,
have a good
Guys,
week.
thanks for joining us.
okay. Thanks for joining.
Appreciate it.
And Joe, we'll send out emails for the next Zooms that we do, and just to watch for them.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll Todd will send out the PowerPoints. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that deck. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
Cool.
yeah, thank you. Hey, thanks for coming today.
Okay, guys. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great weekend.
You too.
Enjoy
Thank you.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
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 When are you coming back?
Beginning of October.
Oh, good for you. You just got there then.
Yeah, I've been here almost 2 weeks. Yeah,
Okay.
I came at the
Good.
beginning of
Good.
the month.
See you later, Julian.
Good.
All right, see you
Okay.
guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sherry. Bye.
Thank you.